Okay, looks like we're live again for part 2. Right, centre that, bingo. Right, okay, welcome back to Rob's Scope, welcome back to London. This is part 2. For some reason when I looked at the screen, there was a part 1 to this, if you have just turned up at this video. But for some reason it said it was disconnected. It doesn't appear that it was when I just looked at it. Just looked at the video, refilled the coffee and it looked fine. So anyway, the previous video to this, which was the start of this, we annealed the gold in the pickle there. We annealed that piece of gold, we just annealed that piece of gold wire, just for a quick recap if you don't want to watch that. We annealed that, quenched it, put it in the pickle. I've then just unboxed this wooden block, which I'm hoping I've got to get some sort of spacer, a proper spacer to go in there to match this 5mm thick steel plate that's on the front of the bench. So I've just got a wooden block there so we can interchange the whatever I'm working on. I do actually have the soldering block for this Benchmate system, but it's a bit faff because I always put my solder on. I always have stuff on there that I don't really want to shake off. I probably should shake it off, but yeah. So yeah, we've unboxed that. That looks cool. I just need some more bits, but I didn't want to order all those bits until I'd taken a look at the blocks. I wasn't sure whether it would even work. But we're going to test it out now by making an 18 karat gold ring, which is where I'd got to in the previous video, part 1. We're going to make an 18 karat yellow gold 2mm quart ring. This is 2mm quart wire we make in-house. Melt 18 karat gold, pour it into an ingot mould, pull it out, peen the metal, which involves hammering lots of little small hammer blows. Then it goes through rolling mills once it gets reduced, because it will start off 6 or 7mm square, or well, rectangle. We then reduce it down to probably, what would I go down to? 3mm square, maybe less. Maybe 2.5 square. Yeah, probably 2.5 square. Then we go into a quart shape, which is oval, draw plate, and ultimately we end up with a piece of wire like this one, which is 18 karat yellow gold, oval profile. We end up with a piece of 18 karat yellow gold quart shape wire, 2x1mm. And then we cut pieces off. This piece I cut here is 57mm, which should make a ring pretty close to a size M, which is what we want today. So that's what we're going to do. Put that to one side. I've made 5 in the last 2 live streams, between the like 5. So we're cracking on with these gold rings, gold wedding bands. So before I solder this together, I want to put my maker's mark in it while it's still open, because I can. I do have swan neck maker's punches. Let's see if this will work. I think it's going to wobble too much on there. But my plan is once I've got a piece of metal beneath that's actually going to space it properly. Let's see how thick this solder block is. Is that closer? It's probably going to wobble the other way now. Yeah, it's going to wobble the other way. Oh no, it's all right. Might be able to do this on there. I think I'm going to get a piece of, that is wobbling a bit. I think I'm going to get a piece of brass under there, rather than steel. I don't know, maybe I'll get steel. I'll see. There's definitely some wobble in that. Right, so using a swage block here, just a little series of half round these. What I've found with these is, I tried doing it the way the assay office appear to do it, which is one and done with a big heavy hammer. Take this, take the maker's punch. Whenever they're doing display hallmarking, displays of hallmarking, they tend to just get a big club hammer and give it a good whack. I never had much success. It did work when I did it, but you know, obviously they've got a lot more experience than I have. They're doing this all day, every day. When I tried that, it sort of would bounce out. I would never have it quite lined up. It didn't look as good as they did. When I went to the assay office, noticed that they were mainly using big fly presses. They were sat at a bench like this with a fly press there, so they could actually see what they were doing. I've got a massive fly press, so big I need an engine hoist to get it on a bench, which it came with. I don't have an engine hoist, so it's on a pallet on the floor, so to use that I literally have to lie on the floor, which I've done many times. So yeah, but that is great. I use that for tie clips and stuff like that. It's good for big production, for long. It's good for, because of the way I've got mine set up and I don't have much tooling, I use that if I'm doing if I had say 50 of these to do, I would set it up to do the particular thing. But for one-offs, what I've found is, I've mentioned this in previous videos, I've found that the ladies using, it is primarily ladies, using decorative punches for jewellery design. They're buying pendants, or it's mainly pendants, whatever they use. They're using sheet, they're getting decorative punches, flowers, bumblebees, that sort of thing. And they were using a lot of smaller hammers. In fact, some of them were using sort of plastic handled, sand-filled mallets. So, and then a series of lighter hammer blows, but also sort of rotating, moving the punch a little, not moving it like that, but rotating it, and so you get a nice even finish, and that works really well. Shout out to the stand part ladies. So, I just want to see what the best side of this metal is. There's a better side. Better side. Make sure it's not going to rock badly. Testing out the wooden block for the first time. So I want this sort of just off centre really. So that's the middle. So basically, so it's as far away from the solder. So the hole marking is going to be the opposite side of the solder joint, basically. About there somewhere. It's more critical that it's in the middle of the ring than the middle of the ring left and right than the other way. Way too deep, way too deep. That's gone in. Yeah, I can hit it real hard at that angle. Yeah, smudge that to the one side. There's a pair of parallel pliers. I saw them earlier. There they are. Having this setup's working too well. Been able to put that mark in way too deep. I might actually, if I can't, oh no, that is, I was going to say if I can't, at this stage, if I can't straighten that out, I'll just melt it back with the next batch of 18 carat. It has actually straightened out, I actually bent it. It hasn't damaged it, it's just moved it. Don't know what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to rather than messing around, I'm actually just going to look at that. I think I am actually going to melt that with the next batch. So I could make it up, but why bother? I can melt it. So now we're going to make size N, which I've already pre-cut. This time I'm not going to hit it as hard or as deep. That's better. Let me show you the difference. and sort of smashed in, but I've smashed it so deep it's sort of smudged to the edge. That's what we want there. But yeah, that can be melted down with the next batch. I mean, these are 18-karat golds, they've got to be perfect, I can't be sending out slightly smudged rings. Right, well this works well. So even without a proper spacer, it was a great idea. Actually, that might be the right size, isn't it? Just using this Durston ring shank bender. Let's go down the side, just make these join. There we go. Do pull that off. I've got no shadow from it as well. I need to definitely tidy all this up, don't I? Yeah, I think I need something that looks quite like. If I'm going to do that, obviously I think I need something. Maybe I should just get another a steel plate, 5mm steel plate, so it sort of looks somewhat uniform. I'll see what's available. Right, half round, flat half round pliers. Then I'm just going to run a saw blade through the joint so it's perfectly fitting. It's very close as it is, but can't be too close on this. Missing with everything. This is an 8/0 saw blade in this saw frame at the moment, so a very thin cut. It's almost like filing it, but very evenly. That's it. Right, what I need to do with this now is go over the surface with, I'm going to use this barrette. What I should do, actually, I did this last night with size Z, and it makes the process much quicker. So very quickly get the saw burrs off. This is a cut 4 half round ring file, because when you make your own wire, for some reason I don't know what it is. I can't find any information out, but it's almost like there's a surface finish on it which inhibits the flow of the solder. And I've tried everything. Nothing other than a little file up gets rid of it. And it's almost like it's almost as if there's oil on the surface and the solder just wants to flow everywhere apart from through the joint. It's really strange. You don't get it on wire you buy from bullion dealers, so I don't know what happens when you do the. It's almost like a surface treatment that has to be filed off. You can't. But I've tried barreling it. I've tried, abrasive barreling compounds. I've tried pickling, heating it, and pickling it. Just nothing other than filing, which is just a light, but like buff stick filing, not even like a file. You know, you can take emery paper to it and it's fine. It's almost like surface tension rather than a surface finish. It's bizarre. If anyone knows, let me know. The comments below. But yeah, it's like surface tension rather than dirt, oil, plating. And if you forget to do this, you very quickly realise what you've done. It all balls up on the surface. So it just spreads either side of the joint. It's weird. But you know, how many jewelers make their own wire? And it's not just that, it's not just on the 18 carat, it's on all alloys. Silver, 9, 18, the different colours. It's a thing. I don't really need to know what the science of it is, I need to know how to prevent it. Right, soldering. Put our block back on. Get a little close up of that ring. Right, soldering block. Yeah, this wood's untreated. I think it was sold for like lathe turning or something. So, should gain a bit of patina. I'm not going to treat it with anything. What's the point? Be lucky to survive. Probably get set on fire at some point. It's big enough not to burn, isn't it? Hopefully. Famous last words. Smouldering wreck next time you see it. Robbins 18 karat gold hard solder. I think I've been a bit too stingy with it in previous versions. I was having to draw the solder through backwards and forwards, so use a generous amount, not too generous, but you know, so stingy that I'm going to start pulling the solder through with the heat repeatedly. Although I'm probably still going to have to do that because, yeah, it's that surface tension on these things, on this handmade wire. You know what, that's moved. Nothing's going right tonight. The music stopped and that's moved out of whack. It's going to be one of those days. Right, I forgot to turn back on the YouTube music. When we came back, there we go. Let's let that cool down a little bit. I think from the hit, obviously it was under tension from the, it was annealed when we started, but it was probably under a little bit of tension from forming it. I've just put it on, I don't know if that's only in shot, I've put it on just on this steel block to act as a heat sink. It'll just take out enough heat quite quickly, as you can see, for me to, but that, yeah, it has moved out of whack. And these have got to be perfect. These are an expensive ring, relatively speaking. I mean, they've all got to be perfect there. But I don't have to redo it because I'm cutting bits out of 18 karat gold. I mean, I don't want to have to, I don't want to have to do it on silver, but I might chance it, you know. But then if it's not perfect, I've got to redo it anyway because the customer won't have it. Free returns and all that. They'll use their free returns. See, it does happen where I've heated the ring up. Where it's just, all that's happened is where it's under some sort of tension. It's effectively annealed and softened, and the tension, like where I've been positioning it under tension, the tension releases with the heat. And I mean, we're talking probably 0.1 of a mil, fraction of a millimetre, but that's all it takes. And it would be rectifiable by filing and polishing, but you really just want to do what I've just done there and not try and polish a turd. Make sure it's not a turd in the first place. Which is an odd way to describe a piece of fine jewellery, but there we go. Right, let me just quench that off in there. Right, that's the next job, is find a steel plate that will fit in there. Fit in that gap, because I quite like the idea of this. It was very good for the hallmark punching, wasn't it? It was too good for the hallmark punch. We smashed that piece of ingot gold pieces. But yeah, I think that's going to work out quite well. I'll probably, if I was to buy it again, I might have got a slightly thinner piece because it's overshadowing a bit there. But having said that, if you get a thin, it's got quite a bit of weight to it. So once I get the steel plate, it's probably less likely to move than a thinner piece. Also, it gives a little bit of, I think it's giving it, when I was hammering on that, it's giving a little bit of almost like a dampening. I wouldn't, not springing, but some sort of dampening, which is why I think I smashed that ring up. Because I'm used to doing it on here, and you get, it's a different feed, you know, you get feedback from the hammer and the punch. Obviously, it was different to what I'm used to. So I kept smashing, I guess. Smashed too much. Right, I'll give you a quick close-up of this, but this is going to need much longer in the pickle. We've got to get all that fire scale off, and I'm then going to call it a day, because so far today, this is a phenomenon where sometimes just everything you touch turns to shit, and it's not, I wouldn't go to things are not going well, and sometimes you're better off just calling it quits. Like if you're having a bad day soldering, if you're having a bad day doing tasks you're normally proficient at, I think sometimes at the bench it's best just to, you know, go and do some paperwork or something. Don't persevere, because I have to redo it all tomorrow. But actually this actually has come out this would actually come out very good, actually, having said that. They'll file up pretty good. Yeah, so let me give you a close-up of that soldered. But we'll resume tomorrow with more 18 karat gold rings. So there we go. We've got a little bit of excess solder on the outside, which is where I want it, rather than on the inside. I did this in yesterday's live stream, and where I was pulling the solder through, because I was being a bit mean with the amount of solder, I had to pull the solder through, and I ended up with the excess solder on the inside. What you really want with these rings, because of this way I'm doing it, which I've said many times before, is jewelers argue about the best way to do this. Some will, if if you watched the live streams a few days ago where we were making these silver rings, I did it that way, where I make a coil and then saw through them, and you end up with perfectly round rings. But it's with the larger the ring that I find that aesthetically the worse it looks doing it that way. With small rings it's fine. So with wedding bands I tend to do it this way, where I make it round in the ring bender, but then I was sort of almost oval off the top. But this is where it gets disputed, that some people say that quite rightly they say that puts pressure and tension on the joint when you're rounding it off, and it does. And that's where they all disagree, because there's many jewellers that only do it this way. Obviously I do both, but many jewellers only do it this way, and they say it doesn't, and they've done it there. You know, they've been doing jewellery for 100 years and it's never broken. I broke one on a live stream. I didn't break it. Like the solder joint was under, I think it was a 4mm. The larger the ring, the more prone they are to testing the joint to destruction. And yeah, it did open up a bit. It didn't ping open, but I had to redo it. I had to resolder it. So doing it this way, it can mean you've got to do it twice. But once it will normally show, you'll normally get it round. It will actually stay as a whole ring, but the joint will start to open up. So what I'll do in that case, run the saw blade through it, which is effectively doing it the way people advocate for with the overlapping. You're effectively then, if it doesn't work this way, you're then doing it that way, but you've got to do it twice. You run the blade through. But even doing it the twice, I think the joints aesthetically look better doing it this way. You just get a more around the ring. And we're talking, like, obviously I look at rings all day, every day, so the customers wouldn't notice the difference between the two, but I do. And it just looks better this way. And we are making, after all, pretty things, not practical things. If we were making practical things, this would be solid steel. We'd make it out of rock, not gold, which is soft. So it's got to look good. But the key point of this is I leave the excess solder on the outside, because the people that say you don't test the joint are full of it. You do test the joint, but it looks better. But if you leave the excess solder on the outside, it provides strength to the joint. So what I will do is I will clean off the inside, because you don't, when you're sizing this on a triplet, you don't want excess solder on the inside, because it will probably indent the ring somehow, some way. So I clean it off. So with this, I will now clean off, once it's been in pickle, I'll clean off all the inside of the solder joint. So that's perfect. But I will leave the excess solder on the outside. So you want the excess solder on the outside to provide extra strength for when you're putting it in the round. Then it's far less likely to test the joint to destruction. Although it is better to, if you're going to test the ring to destruction, it's better doing it in the workshop, where it can be very easily rectified, than out in the wild with a customer. Because those ones that are done as a coil are not tested at all. There's no, like, that joint could be porous and could be could crack under just the slightest bit of stretching. Someone eats too many pies. Ping. So right, that's going back in the pickle. Once that's all cleaned off, round it off on a triplet with a rawhide mallet in the ring size up, which, technically a ring stretch. I use it as a ring sizer. Size it up, fractionally over, compress it down, gets it nice and flat. One day, when I've got all this sorted out, I'll put the ring stretcher in here, and we'll do that on live streams too, because now I'm going to be able to move all this about. Get that sheet, clean this up. Job's good. Right, if you haven't watched part 1, go back and watch part 1. Watch me unbox a wooden block, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. 29 minutes, 2 doors. See you tomorrow.